with our vodcast series On the Grid Edge. I'm the Director of Digital Marketing with AutoGrid. And today we have one of AutoGrid's partners. We have Natasha Reed, Product Manager for Utility Initiatives with Mysa. So thanks for joining us today.
Happy to be here.
Now you are, so maybe before we dive into some questions, just give a little background on who Mysa is. I know you're based, I believe, in far eastern Canada. So just tell us a little history just to get going.
Yeah, sure. So our company name, it's spelled Mysa, but we actually pronounce it Mysa.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. This is a very common talking point, basically, whenever we introduce ourselves to anyone.
Uh-huh.
It's actually a Swedish word and it means to be cozy. And so we're a smart thermostat company. We are based out of St. John's, Newfoundland, which is on the far east coast of Canada. I'm in our headquarters office here now, but we employ people really across Canada and the US. We sell and ship smart thermostats across Canada and the US. The majority of our sales are online through Amazon and through our website, but we're also in stores such as Home Depot, Best Buy, some of the Costco stores. We also sell our thermostats on utility marketplaces such as TechniArt. Um, Interestingly enough, when our company started, it wasn't a smart thermostat company. Basically, our CEO, he was doing home energy audits of people's homes and giving them recommendations of how they can make their home more efficient and use less energy. And he found a gap in the marketplace for a good smart thermostat solution for baseboard heating. And so that was our first product, was a smart thermostat for electric baseboards. And it's a line voltage thermostat. It's 120 to 240 volts. So that was our first product. We currently now have three products to serve three different types of heating. The second one was for electric in-floor heating. And our third one was a smart thermostat for many split heat pumps and also air conditioners air conditioners such as window or portable AC. So yeah, now we have solutions for three different types of heating, and one also does cooling. And yeah, happy to be here today.
Yeah, no, thanks for kind of providing that overview of your product. So, from a AutoGrid virtual power plant perspective, these are distributed energy resources. And the
Mhm.
other buzzword out there is IoT, Internet of Things. So, at the most basic level, someone might say, how does this stuff really fight climate change? So tell us a little bit, IoT, VPPs, climate change, and your products. How does this help fight climate change?
Yeah, I mean that's a really great question. So basically, in its most basic form, the Internet of Things refers to everything that's connected to the internet. So this can be, your mobile device, your laptop, smart TV, smart lighting, or smart thermostats.
Hmm.
And basically, smart thermostats can help fight climate change with two different ways. So the first way is through energy efficiency and just using less energy overall. When I mentioned that our CEO was doing home energy audits when he was first starting the company, the majority of programmable thermostats weren't actually programmed on a schedule. And studies have found that only 30% are on a schedule. So 70% of the programmable thermostats out there are just being used manually. So one way that we help improve energy efficiency and help customers use less energy overall
Hmm.
is basically by giving them a bunch of different tools to do so. And obviously, one is that the device is connected, so you can control it remotely from anywhere using your mobile device and change the set point. You can also use shortcuts, home, away, vacation. You can also use geolocation. So once you exit a perimeter, then the temperature will go down. You can also set it on a schedule. You can integrate it with smart home assistants. And basically, because of all of this communication and accessibility, you can reduce the overall energy consumption by essentially not paying to heat or cool a space that is vacant. And do so, when people are in there.
Right.
So that's the first way,
Hmm.
basically, is because of energy efficiency. The second way is through the virtual power plant. And when you are using energy, managing it in an effective way. So you're managing the timing and consumption of energy. And the whole premise is that when you're using electricity at different periods during the day, it has different carbon intensities.
Hmm.
So when like utilities will have, a base load, but they'll also have peak loads at certain times during the day.
Right.
During these peak loads, the energy is more carbon intensive. So if you can shift the energy consumption to off peak times, then you can reduce the carbon intensity and reduce the stress on the grid, the need for upgrades. And this is where the second part, the virtual power plant, comes in, and what we call demand response by shifting the the energy use for people who have opted into these programs.
Right. So I guess to summarize, one is energy efficiency, which is always the best
Mm-hmm.
resource, is to use less. That's
Mm-hmm.
and then the other one is more about the timing of your consumption, which is more like demand response, which is one aspect of a virtual power plant. Now, there. I think people have heard about smart thermostats. It's a thing out there. It's kind of trendy, but your smart thermostat product specifically kind of targets a market that a lot of the other vendors haven't paid attention to. You mentioned baseboard electric heating, which tends
Mm-hmm.
to serve older and also cold climate homes like Canada. We were just talking, I was just in Alaska. These are places that get extremely cold. So why? So then your product really fills this gap. So tell me, why is that important? You know, why is that important for the market?
Yeah, so one big reason why it's important is because these electric baseboard heaters, like they do consume a lot of energy. Like you have around 2 kilowatts of heating being controlled by each of our thermostats. So because you have so much load controlled, you also have a lot more energy savings potential.
Right,
And as you mentioned, this is like a more niche market. Like electric baseboard heating is very prevalent in certain areas of the country in Canada. So, for example, British Columbia or Quebec or also Eastern Canada. In the center of Canada, it's very prevalent. And same thing in the United States. It's a regional heating source. And
right,
when you see the electrification of heating, most people are adding mini split heat pumps, not generally electric baseboard heaters, because they
right.
do use more energy.
Sure.
And that's why we're really excited about like our most recent product, because it can do both heating and cooling. It's more efficient and it's not really regional dependent. Like you kind of see them pop up everywhere, and you can see them being incentivized by a lot of government programs right now.
Yeah, I think I told you a story when we first talked that I actually lived in a house in California with electric baseboard heating, and I had such huge bills. Like my first electricity bills were fairly shocking. So I guess the irony is that you could say, oh, those homes are more inefficient. On the other hand, that means there's more resource load that can be reduced, and that's kind of what you're doing, is you're targeting some of the least efficient energy. So I guess in some ways that's another climate change advantage, is without products like yours, those people would sort of be left out. um,
Mm-hmm.
I guess the other interesting or cool thing about your technology is I think you say about 80% of the people install them themselves. I am not a handyman, as my wife will attest to, but it sounds like even I theoretically could install this. So tell me a little bit, was that like part of the purposeful design, is just to make these things, that easy to install?
Yeah, so basically, the first thing to note is that there are certain regions and jurisdictions that do require an electrician to install the device. So, one example is Quebec, for instance.
Hmm.
So, you do need to kind of look at that first. So, but when you look at that, you can see that it would be impossible for us to get to 100%. So, it makes 80% an even bigger deal, and almost even more impressive that 80% of our customers install the devices themselves. But basically, we were super aware that we were asking regular people to install high voltage, line voltage thermostats. And we took that very seriously from the start and baked it into every part of the customer journey. So, from a design perspective, there's not a whole lot about the product that would differ from traditional thermostats, but instead we approach the electrification of a user's home from an educational experience. So we empower the users to make changes and learn about their homes. And we see this as a critical step in removing barriers to broader sustainability and efficiency. Like knowledge really is power. So we have a ton of resources. We have like a compatibility checker online to make sure that when they're ordering the thermostat that it will work with their setup. We have a lot of great visualization illustrations both in the app on our website and also in the user manual that's sent with the thermostats. Very clear documentation, videos online, and also great customer support. We also have error messages such as the H2 error, and basically that's a notice that there's like a loose connection somewhere along the line, and only a smart thermostat can detect this. And so when you see this, then you can troubleshoot it quite clearly with our materials online, or our customer agents are always on standby to help. So we really put a lot of emphasis and value in that customer relationship and really wanting to empower them through this process.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Again, as I said, I just came back from Alaska where I was also hearing there about they had a much more, I don't want to use the word primitive, let's say basic way to monitor energy. And they said they go into these small communities, and once people can see the difference, each load might, there's a 10 to 15% reduction. That's what they were saying in these small villages just by metering and bill
Mm-hmm.
collection. So obviously, the more you learn about your energy usage, generally people consume less, because otherwise, like in the past, people didn't pay attention. I remember when I wrote one of my last books, there was a guy named Art Rosenfeld, a professor, one of the fathers of energy efficiency, and he discovered back in the 60s that there were light switches that were never turned off in certain buildings. They were even hidden behind, things because people were just kind of like, didn't think
Mm-hmm.
about it. Now we've come a long way since then. Now, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
to some people, they might say, oh, this sounds really groovy, wow, this is incredible. But what about privacy? There's sort of this big brother or whatever you want to say. So, um, how do you deal with that with this sort of IoT VPP? Is that something you've thought about and figure out a way to deal
Oh,
with?
Oh, yes, definitely, for sure. So basically, overall, trust is really like the foundation of legitimacy. And actually, I did write about this last year when I was in school. I remember one of the papers I read said that as people spend more time online, companies will begin to compete on trustworthiness in order to win customers. That was from like the World Economic Forum. And this is one thing that Mysa has recognized and focused and dedicated resources towards from the very beginning. So all of our outgoing data from products is encrypted in end-to-end security infrastructure that actually exceeds industry standards. We did receive the level 1 CSA cybersecurity verification, and we have a dedicated security team and program that, as I said, exceeds the CSA standards and the industry standards as a whole. We take that relationship with our customers very seriously because once trust is broken, it's very hard to win it back.
Sure.
So that's one thing that we've always put as a top priority in our company. And one thing too, I wanted to mention when you were talking about in Alaska, you're saying that just educating the users helped them to reduce their energy usage. One of the main features in our app is you can see energy charts, and you can see them on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. It will have graphs there, for the energy use at different times, as well as a set point, as well as like the humidity. And if you enter in your price per kilowatt hour, you can actually see how much you're spending to heat that room or that zone on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. And you're right that like that really is like just that awareness
Yeah.
is really the first step to encourage users to change their behavior. So yeah, I just wanted to echo that as well.
Yeah, no, that's great. Well, let's make this a little more real for folks. You've been partnering with AutoGrid, so tell us,
Mm-hmm.
you've got a couple pilot programs, one in Canada, BC Hydro, one in the US, Puget Sound. Tell us a little bit about those projects.
Yeah, so we're definitely very excited for those projects and to be working with AutoGrid. Basically, these products are, sorry, these demand response projects include our Mysa baseboard thermostats only. So unfortunately, our other two thermostats aren't DR compatible yet, but we
Hmm.
definitely want to include all of the loads in this virtual power plant for sure.
Hmm.
The BC Hydro program we just clued up the second heating season. These demand response project programs take place in the winter only because we control heating thermostats only. I know
Right.
in the US, summertime winter cooling DR programs are also very prevalent, but yeah, right now we can only participate in the winter heating ones. BC Hydro also in the fall tends to offer rebates for smart thermostats. I don't think they've announced exactly what that rebate will be this fall, but every fall for the past 4 years they've done so. Last year we had around 30 events. The maximum duration of an event is 4 hours. And during this time frame, the set point will be adjusted between 1 and 3 degrees Celsius. And one thing to highlight in all of our programs, current and any into the future, is that the user will always have full control of their device. So basically, if their temperature is adjusted and they're uncomfortable, they can always go and override it on their phone or on the device itself or through a smart home assistant. So that's also really, really important to us. The customers will never be locked out of their devices.
Right.
The P is, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I guess that might be one thing, again, people might wonder about. Again, that kind of big brother, someone controlling my stuff. So, what you're pointing
Yeah.
out is you still are in control, but the default is you're participating, basically, which obviously means most people are in, but I also understand there can be fatigue over time and stuff like that. But no, that's good. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about Puget Sound, which is in the state of Washington, near British
Mhm.
Columbia,
Yes.
actually. So yeah.
Yes. So the Puget Sound, they get a $75 incentive per home annually, which is a very sizable incentive. In addition to that, they can also get Mysa baseboard thermostats for $19 and they retail, for 149. So that is a huge, huge discount and huge opportunity for Puget Sound Energy to customers to participate in this program.
Hmm.
Last year, it was restricted to just one zip code on Bainbridge Island, but this coming year, it's going to be opened up to the rest of the service area. So
Hmm.
we're definitely excited to see how that one scales and how that one grows. Again, they have a maximum event duration of 4 hours and will adjust thermostats for up to 3 degrees Fahrenheit for each event.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you get a better deal in Puget Sound. Maybe folks should
Yeah.
move. No, I shouldn't say that. But but looking to the future, you mentioned, you have these other new products, and eventually they also could be considered DERs enrolled into virtual power plants. So maybe just to kind of wrap things up, where do you, and I don't know, where do you see this going in the future? I mean, I guess as you pointed out, it's limited to these regional markets. So it's pretty much North America, or are you even thinking about going global, or what are your ambitions over the long run?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, our whole company premise is we were founded to fight climate change,
Right.
and we do see virtual power plant and connected thermostats, working together to synchronize with the grid, being able to help incorporate variable renewable energy and have a flexible load to match a flexible supply and shift peak. We see this as the future of
Hmm.
the connected world. So we definitely will be bringing all of our smart thermostats online and integrating them into the virtual power plant. And we would want to see the international as well. We do have plans to bring one of our products to another continent, which I'm not going to reveal too much, but there
Okay.
will be a Mysa coming to like another continent sometime soon, which we're definitely very excited about. But yeah, I mean, the reality is that like the customer is the heart of the energy transition, and demand response relies on customer adoption on a mass scale. Because instead of having like a few big loads, like commercial loads, you have just like hundreds of thousands of millions of these small loads. So
Right.
you need to connect them together and get them to work together harmoniously. So this is actually a great opportunity to empower users to be a part of the energy transition and influence the electricity system as a whole. So that definitely is our vision, to basically just have this huge grid of connected devices working together to decarbonize our society around the world. So
Yeah, no, I mean that you're speaking my language, but some people might say sounds too good to be true. But what's amazing is the technology exists. I think well, another key thing we haven't talked about is actual markets and the compensation schemes. But technology tends to always advance quicker than
mhm.
policy. But there's also good news, like in the U.S., we have FERC order 2222, but globally there's similar ventures where people are realizing that as we rely more on these distributed energy resources, we have to figure out ways to organize them and provide value. So well, Natasha, great, thanks so much for sharing your company's vision, and I guess we're going to wrap up. So thanks so much for joining us today.
Okay, thank you, Peter. It was great talking to you today.
Okay, so long.
Bye.